Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. To other stories now, MPP flag bearer hopeful Bryan Acheampong has called for an immediate 90-day suspension of all mining activities to help restore Ghana's polluted water bodies. Speaking at his campaign office, Dr. Acheampong described the pause as not a state of emergency, but a vital national intervention to protect the environment and secure food systems. He urged the government and stakeholders to use the 3-month break to clean water bodies, review the mining sector, and design a roadmap for sustainable, responsible mining. His calls comes as NGOs and activists warn of deepening threats to Ghana's health and financial security, revealed in Joy News' Dear Mahama series on Galamsey's devastating impact. We'll hear from him shortly. First, though, let's bring you excerpts from our first episode, which highlights how teenage girls in Kwesi Krom Basic School in the Agona East District are forced to choose between using foul dark pond water during menstruation or skipping school entirely.
So let's talk about things we can do to conserve our water bodies. Yes, Angel.
We should avoid illegal mining.
Handsome lesson. Handsome lesson. To play. Very good.
In this classroom at Kwesi Krom Junior High School, lessons on clean water and hygiene are in full swing.
When you destroy our water bodies, now we know that we don't have even access to water. All our water bodies are being destroyed.
For girls like Irajua, a Form 3 pupil, menstruation turns school days into a struggle with fear, discomfort, and no clean water.
It's water crisis. We are not able to get water for our own human resources, and fetching from the Ofa is a bit challenging, especially using to cook, washing, and bathing. And like I am a girl, and using this water when I'm menstruating is a bit difficult for me, but I have to adapt to it because of the crisis here. When there's no water, it's actually a bit challenging, so we adapt to it. But when you get enough water, you have to use it fast for us not getting all those infections and all those bacteria into us. At times, I can't use water because of how the water is, because the water has to be boiled and all those stuffs. So when the water is not boiled and we don't usually use gas here, we use firewood, and I don't have time to boil it, so I have to use the water and come to school early.
Ghana has made strides in girl child education. Enrollment has risen. More girls are staying in school, and conversations around menstrual hygiene have grown louder. But here in Kwesi Krom, a water crisis fueled by illegal mining threatens to erode those gains. For months now, taps have run dry following shutdown of the Kwenyako headworks, unable to treat raw water from the heavily polluted Ayensu River. The absence of clean water strips young girls of their dignity and privacy. Inside the classroom, menstruation is silent, but its weight is heavy.
Our menstrual cycle health only perform because of insulin, and I eat gal mining insulin, so I am a distraction. We need water to clean our genital parts, to wash so that we can be clean, because we can't just change and use another sanitary pad. It affects us. It can give us infections and all those things.
The Ofa pond is their only source of water. Dirty, murky, and smelling. For girls, this is where menstruation hygiene begins and ends. Some girls simply stay away from school during their period. Others, like Irajua, endure the discomfort, attending class but unable to focus.
I'm a Form 3 student, and I'm a pair. Yeah, time indoors, so I have to.
Robert Yankee is the science teacher here. He watches over these pupils and sees how the water situation steals both their time and their health.
Assuming there's no water, and then the child or this girl child have or experiences her menses, how will she even clean herself without having access to potable water? Do you want the girl child to use this contaminated water to clean her genital part? It means that she will be introduced or she will be prone to more infections.
Nana Kwesi Twi, the fourth, is the chief of Kwesi Twi Krom. He sees the daily toll the water crisis takes on his community and especially its children.
After school, na ewo krom hananga sanso kwala ne yenso no. Tedu baby cry say breaking kwala no. Na obi akofie kwasensu. Na ode bansa na ohia bia no. Fact amama aha ye papa. Kronanga said this problem e face pa susem aha o mai kese pa.
I will need the government to help us with the illegal mining water issue and to put a stop to illegal mining. And we can come to school without being stressed and all those stuff.
The Kwenyakun Headworks, once the lifeline for this community, shut down after turbidity levels hit almost 95,000. Safe levels are below 50. President John Dramani Mahama is unconvinced to declare a state of emergency on mining, on water bodies and forest reserves.
I've been reluctant to implement a state of emergency in the Galamsey fight because we've not exhausted the powers we even have without a state of emergency.
Here in Kwesi Twi Krom, girls like Irajua live in a constant state of emergency. They are victims of rivers poisoned by illegal mining. If this is not an emergency, Mr. President, what is it?
Well, as a woman, that's quite troubling for me to watch. Well, reacting to this story, African President of International Federation of Female Lawyers, Ifwa Aisin, warned the development could seriously affect fertility among girl children and women as well.
And it's not only the girl child, it's also the woman and the men also in the community. But for the girl child, it's more troubling because they have to deal with this whilst in school. And we know that in these areas, they are already handicapped with very little resources. You know, competing with schools in Accra here is not easy. Then now you have to also consider your health and mental hygiene, and even your very lively, your very survival, living in a Galamsey area. And I don't think it's fair for the girl child in those communities to be going through this. And that's why we need the government to really take a second look at this Galamsey issue, especially on how it affects women and girls. When we very well know that most places outside the urban areas, it's the girls' responsibility to go and fetch water. And they have to go through this, I don't even know whether to call it dirty or, I mean, it's just toxic, this toxic water on a daily basis. So even if you are not going through your mental period, you are exposing yourself so much to these hazards. And only God knows how it's going to affect our fertility in the next few years, how it will affect our population, because clearly fertility issues would automatically affect population issues. And I don't know if there's been any talk about that. I've not heard much on it. And I really hope that we hear something from the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Health, on direction on how to manage the situation. We are in already, it's a crisis situation. Just as the COVID time, we had direction on how to go about things. I think this is even more important or more critical than the COVID time. We need to know how to manage ourselves.
The Executive Director of Child Rights International, Bryan Acheampong, also explained on the AM show that it will cost the state millions of dollars to rehabilitate the thousands of girl children and women whose lives will be severely impacted by using contaminated water during their menstruation.
For me, that I picked from this particular documentary has to do with the fact that in all aspects, especially when it comes to the right of the girl child or the right of a child, the major ones are being abused. You pick the right to health, which is critical in promoting the welfare of children. The right to protection is one of the critical rights that the state requires, and the right to education. So clearly, you will see that there are major pillars of rights that have been abused in terms of how children need to be cared for in such environment, and it's also goes to confirm the research that we have also conducted, and the details of it are showing clearly in the video. And for me, it should send a signal to us for us to take certain pragmatic steps to deal with this issue. Because one thing about children is that you don't immediately see the effect on them. It will take almost about 5, 15, 10 years to be able to identify the effect. By that time, it will be a bit late for the state to reverse that. And even if the state want to reverse it under our rehabilitation and maintenance program, then it means that the state is going to spend a lot of money to be able to do that. Because to be able to subject a child to rehabilitation program, it is millions of dollars for you to even be able to rehabilitate a particular child, especially where the gravity of the issue is so much that it has become a norm in a particular society. So clearly, it's not an area that we should take for granted. It's not an area that we should just play with.
We can now hear from NPP flag bearer hopeful Bryan Acheampong, who is calling for an immediate 90-day suspension of all mining activities nationwide to help restore Ghana's polluted water bodies.
I'm talking about even a state of emergency. 90 days, rainy season, let's clear our water bodies, let's engage how we go back to mining. We cannot stop or repair the tie or the track of a moving train as fast as it is speeding. We need to agree, and I'm not talking about state of emergency, that mining, regardless of where, should stop now for the next 90 days. Let's regroup, let's rethink, and see how we can launch back into responsible mining. If our food systems are being poisoned, and we just look on, that we prefer to make the money, the people will not be around in a very short time to try and address the situation. So this is something that I believe answers your general security questions. Thank you.
Bryan Acheampong there, but let me bring him his spokesperson, Acheampong, who joined us live here on The Pulse. We appreciate your time. I'm just wondering what prompted this decision to make this call at this time. Mr. Acheampong, you have some mute for me to hear you clearly. Well, whilst we reconnect our lines, Acheampong, we've just been hearing from NPP flag bearer hopeful Bryan Acheampong proposed that moving forward there should be a 90-day suspension of all mining activities. We're just touching base with his spokesperson, even as the NPP campaign hits up. We'll be touching base with other key individuals who are vying for various positions as well. But I'm told I have clear connection now to Acheampong. Andy, I was just wondering why Bryan Acheampong is making this call at this time.
Oh, thank you very much for your call. And I want to re-emphasize what Dr. Bryan Acheampong said, that we have come into a crisis and there is the need for a rethink. We need to reconfigure the whole concept of mining and mining laws. So Bryan proposes that we put a halt to all forms of mining activities and look at the concept again, the laws and the strategies and the procedures. So I agree with him that we should, as a nation, come back to the drawing board, look at how do we effectively mine without causing the destruction that will be overly costly for us in years to come.
But what flaws,
all,
really, what flaws has your client spotted in the current approach we're handling the illegal mining fight that he hopes to deal with, should he be given the mandate?
If he's given the mandate, as he has said, that we need to all come together and even revise our mining laws and ensure that the procedures are also, human friendly. Because the way it's going, we are leaving behind us a society of disease where next generation will be afflicted with all kinds of diseases. And if it's the case that it's the state that has to come to the aid of the citizens, then it will be that the amount of money that we realize from mining, after all, didn't have any effect or wasn't even worthwhile. So he's proposing that all of us come together and rethink the concept of mining.
But reviewing...
And mining responsibly and following the law, and indeed also amending parts of the law to make it difficult for illegal mining.
And that brings me to my next question. You were just making proposals for amendment of our mining laws. And I wanted to find out what specific amendment you would propose that moving forward we can adopt.
For now, because we want to clear our waters, we could suspend, indeed, we could suspend all small-scale mining for a time, and then make sure that whoever makes an application to go into small-scale mining goes through a period of training and orientation to ensure that you will go into mining without bringing us the problems that we are facing now. And in any case, for a start, let us outlaw all mining activities within the water bodies and within a bigger radius, maybe 500 meters instead of the 100 meters of both sides of a river body, so that you cannot mine within 500 acres of the banks of any river. Let it be, so we amend it from the 100 to 500. Let us also outlaw the use of those chemicals to do the purification, those dangerous chemicals. Let's outlaw the use of such chemicals. Let's find a way to bring mining within the law that will also permit the use of appropriate chemicals without using the poisonous ones. In Australia, there's a lot of even surface mining, but they are not allowed to use the mercury as we use here.
And, and did Bryan Acheampong make this proposal, especially during the previous administration, knowing fully well he held key positions in that administration?
Bryan Acheampong, I cannot vouch whether he did or he did not, but we all know the circumstances that brought Bryan Acheampong. He came at the tail end of the administration, and we had challenges in the agricultural sector that was almost overwhelming all of us. So he had so much on his plate at the time. And don't forget that at the time, he was also not the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So whether or not he made any inputs into reconfiguring the law or the approaches to mining, I cannot say. But I am sure that he was equally worried and concerned about the state that we had got into in respect of mining and its effect on our water bodies and even in our forests.
Andy, so how is the campaign going so far? You've been on the ground. How are party faithfuls responding to Bryan's message?
Bryan's message is catching on very much with our delegates. It is our hope that our delegates have been listening to him and having appreciated his solutions. I'm sure that the delegates will vote for him. Above all, I am very positive that the delegates.
We seem to have lost connection to.
And bring all of us.
He's back now, I'm told.
Yes.
Yes.
I am sure that the delegates understand that he is the one to be able to bring all factions within the party into one pool. The unity that will be difficult.
Oh,
yes, without the unity.
Okay. Andy, your connection is not favorable. We'll try to reconnect the line. Stay with us. Just position rightly so that we'll come back to you. But let me bring in this other key concern that Bryan Acheampong raised today. He has alleged that some pollsters approached him demanding payment in exchange for him to be placed in a favorable position in their polls. Let's listen to that. I'll be back to Andy Acheampong to get a response. But watch this.
The polls that put others ahead of me, I'm sure if tomorrow I want to put up polls that put myself ahead of others, I'm sure that I can have some friendly pollsters do same for me. They do not concern me. Most of these polls are psychological operations on the system. Totally meaningless. I don't intend to sponsor polls in my favor. I'm sure that shouldn't be in any doubt that if I wanted to, I could. I think that the polls are on the ground. So you go on the ground to the actual delegates in the constituencies, and you get the answers. I'm here in this campaign office. Many people come with their polls that, oh, you are winning, you are 90%, you are 70%. Give us money so that we'll go and put it in the papers, put it on online portals. I'm not interested in any of that. I mean, I've seen some polls that put me at 1%, and some aspirants who are not even going, who have not left their bedrooms at 20%. And it's quite interesting, some of these polls. So please, I'm not concerned about that at all.
Andy Acheampong is still with us here on the Pulse. Andy, it's important that we name and shame. Which pollsters really approached your candidate and demanded money? Do we still have Andy Acheampong with us? Andy, you have to unmute for me to hear you clearly.
All right.
Yes, loud and clear now.
Right.
You heard my question.
Yes, you asked a question about pollsters seeking some motivation to be able to place him somewhere. It is Bryan probably who may have been approached. I have not been approached.
Yeah, but then if you're a spokesperson for Bryan Acheampong, you should know this individual. Who are they? Tell us.
Listen, let me correct you.
Okay.
I am not the spokesperson for Bryan's campaign. Okay. Neither am I the spokesperson for his person.
Okay.
But I am a campaign strategist and advisor.
So you're Bryan's advisor, and as his advisor, he never told you that this individual's approached him?
He never told me that, but I know for sure that the publications coming out are not reflecting the situation on the ground, because I have also gone on the ground with him, and I know how acceptable he has been, and particularly in Ashanti, Greater Accra, and indeed Bono region. So I don't believe in the figures they churn out. Nevertheless, these are results of perceived pooling. So we will take that into consideration and also motivate us to work even harder.
But then you're on the grounds as his campaign advisor, really. What are the people telling you that makes you confident that your client and your candidates, by the way, is the man for the job, especially because we've seen recent polls place the likes of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Kennedy Acheampong as tops of the race, really?
Well, the delegates we have interacted with, and again, it depends on the sample sizes and the sample itself. But we are talking about delegates, and we are relating to the responses of these delegates. And the delegates are convinced that Dr. Bryan Acheampong is the person who would be able to bring all factions within the party together into one pool. So I'm very positive that the delegates would vote for him, because without bringing everybody together, we will not be able to win power. And the person most competent and capable of doing that is Dr. Bryan Acheampong, and the delegates very well understand this.
But have you done any independent survey just to test the grounds to see if your client is indeed accepted by all?
We decided to conduct our survey in November, and we expect to publish our survey results by the end of November. And we will conduct another one by the end of December to see where we are. So for now, we are relying on our pollsters who are now picking the samples and working on the delegates. And let me emphasize, our polling is on delegates, not on the generality of the population. We haven't gotten there yet.
Okay. Thank you so much, Andy Apiakubi. Stay with me. Let me bring in other key individuals as we just touch base with the different camps here on the Pulse. We're looking at how far their groundwork is going for them and some of the key things that have come up. I have with me Kwesi Kwarteng, spokesperson for Kennedy Acheampong's camp. I also have with me Yao Opoku, who will be joining the conversation via Zoom. Later, we'll touch base with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia camp as well, as we just touch base with them to look at some of the key things that they're working on, even as we look forward to January. I'll start with Kwesi Kwarteng. What's your current activities based on your calendar? Kennedy Acheampong on the grounds. What's next on the agenda?
Firstly, thank you very much. Good evening to you and my colleagues as well. You said you would touch base later with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's camp. Are they on, or you are here to establish contact with them? It appears anytime I have to speak before them. I don't know, maybe whether it's by way of strategy or it's just a coincidence. But I mean, that was just by the way.
Okay.
Yes, as at now, the Ken's campaign currently is in the Savannah region. Okay. And he's meeting delegates there, selling the good message of job creation. And of course, important of it all is how he presented himself as a bold and strong candidate to win 2028 elections. Remember that without winning the 2028 elections, there's no way all the nice ideas, whether they are rich ideas or pragmatic ideas, we can implement them. And ordinarily, in the normal course of things, if we are just supposing that with the history of our political dispensation from 92 till now, you will agree with me that ordinarily, 2028 is not to favor the MPP, because then this would have done just 4 years. And so if we are making a case that you are going to grab 2028, it certainly means that you have to present a very strong candidate. It is even the more reason why, as part of the talk, Ken made that very bold pronouncement that there is no way he will concede defeat when even the Electoral Commissioner has not announced the final results. And of course, he did not say this just for himself. He did not make this statement just for himself. It's a statement that he's making to also suggest that he's going to protect his parliamentary candidates. So emphasis has to be made that there is no way Kennedy Acheampong will concede defeat before the EC announces the 2028 election results. Because if you recall, President Mahama in 2020 did not concede defeat, despite the fact that even he had lost Akufo-Addo with about 500,000 votes difference. Yet still he maintained that he was in a comfortable lead and ensured that he protected his parliamentary candidates. It is the same thing that Kennedy Acheampong is going to do. That 2028 is about bold candidates, it's about courageous candidates. There is no way that EC will give 72 hours and he will go and concede defeat. Unless the 72 hours is done and the last ballot is counted in the last constituency, He's going to stand as that firm leader, as that courageous leader, as that bold leader, as that fearless leader to protect his votes and also the votes of his parliamentary candidates.
We've just been
today,
hearing...
I can hear you.
Make the point. And today, you were about to complete your sentence.
Yes. I am saying that today that has been the ice on the cake in terms of the presentation that he's made. Of course, in terms of his job creation, he has been preaching that everywhere. But today was an opportunity to also remind the delegates that in 2028 we will need that bold and courageous candidates for the 2028 elections. And he made that point very clear in the Savannah region when he began his talk.
We will come to other individuals on Zoom. Acheampong is also joining us via Zoom. But let me also find out from Kwesi Kwarteng. We've been hearing from Bryan Acheampong tell us that some pollsters approached him, demanding money to place them favorably on their polls. You have seen a lot of polls pop up recently. Has your candidate been approached by any of them for money?
No, Ken doesn't believe in those things.
Okay.
Ken believes that if there is any pool that will stand the test of time, is a pool on the 31st of January 2026. And of course, pollsters, there are reports that some of them may have been sponsored by candidate A or person B. But ultimately, like for us, our position on polls is that polls are not election results. Polls are just feedbacks for the candidates to work. Of course, there are some polls which goes in our favor. There are some other polls which may not go in our favor. At the end of the day, we also have our internal mechanisms to also measure our performance. And I can confidently tell you, for me, that is what is important to the team. I can confidently tell you that our team is doing so well. In terms of the regions, I can say that out of the 16 regions, we are doing so well and we are likely to win about 12 of them.
Have you done any survey to back that?
Yes. We also have our own internal polls that we get our independent persons to do for us. That is for our own internal mechanisms and for our own internal decision making. But in terms of a poll to influence public perception where Kennedy Acheampong will go and pay, at the end of the day, when you do that, you are deceiving yourself. Other candidates or other people may be interested in doing that, but we are not interested in deceiving ourselves. I recall the last time when we decided to begin our thank you tour, and we suggested to Ken that we wanted to also bring in some people to come and cheer him up. He rejected vehemently that offer because he was of the view that it's a mechanism to deceive yourself. The true measure of a candidate's popularity is when he enters the auditorium or when he enters the platform naturally, and then hears the applause or the feedback. If you recall 2020 elections, we had just been bashing people, but at the end of the day, what is the results that we saw? The results was that we had the worst performance ever meted out in the history of our political dispensation. It is a more reason why in Ken's case, he's saying that no, we are not going to sponsor any poll, we are not going to engage in any inorganic political astroturfing, and just go down there and campaign to the people. And at the end of the day, if there is any other greater pool that will prove the consistency in all other polls, is the pool of 31st January. And we are very confident that the 31st January is going to vindicate the position of Ken.
Okay, stay with me, Kwesi Kwarteng. Let me bring in Acheampong, who's joined the conversation as well via Zoom. Where is your candidate as we speak, and what's next on the agenda?
Okay, so let me say good evening to yourself and to my colleagues on the line, and to our viewers as well. Dr. Acheampong, currently we are in Accra. We just came from Western North region as part of our engagement with the delegates. And we currently are preparing to straight away move into the Central and the Western region to continue our hope and prosperity message. A message that resonates well with the rank and file of the party, and which is being echoed by a generational thinker who thinks ahead of time and comes with a full commitment and a strong welfare system that seeks to make delegates true patriots who are proud of their party and willing to serve the interest of the party and the country in general. So currently that is what we are doing. we are preparing ourselves to move straight into the central region and the western region because we just came from the western north region.
And what's the reception like in the western north region?
Yeah, it's electrifying. The euphoria around our engagement with delegates tells it all. And delegates proud associated with Dr. Acheampong listening to his vision for the party and the country at large. And they keep telling that if all other candidates could emulate the leadership skill, the 21st century skill, the fourth industrial revolution leadership skill of Dr. Acheampong, then the party and the country wouldn't be where we are today. And it's a clarion call that they place onto the rank and file of the party that indeed this is the time that a new breath should be in the party. It is the time that the change that we seek for, that seek to empower the party and the citizens at large, is actually what should be the game changer. And that is the message that Dr. Acheampong has been re-echoing since he started his engagement with the party and keeps canvassing votes for the flag bearership race. And as I indicated to you, the euphoria is so great that the other regions cannot wait, and they're always on our doors knocking out, when are you coming to our end? We are seriously waiting for you. We cannot wait to see them or meet them and give that hope message, that prosperity message that they are seeking for. And we believe strongly that at the end of the day, the party will give the nod to Dr. Acheampong to lead the front and ensure that that wealth creation, that education system that we are seeking to be able to run shoulders with the likes of Singapore will be a reality, and Ghana's history wouldn't be the same again, per the contribution of delegates in electing Dr. Acheampong as the flag bearer of the party.
Has any pollster approached your candidate asking for money so far?
Not that what I'm aware of. We do have our own internal mechanism that we periodically engage the rank and file of the party to look at our strength, what we need to add up, and where we are so strong in this whole competition. And we just didn't start. It's part of what we did before the declaration of intent to contest, and eventually even after we became form. And that has been what we are doing. And you know, Dr. Acheampong is a scientist, and he believes in what research report is. But it's important that you do have an internal mechanism that gives you what the strength or the dynamics within this whole process is. And we rely on our internal mechanism, and whatever any external third party will do, we do welcome it. But what speaks to what our conversation and the kind of work that we are doing with regard to this race is embedded in what our internal polls tells us. And that is what is giving us the edge, the confidence that we are seeking, and the push that we are continuing with the hope message given out to the party and the rank and file of the entire country.
Thank you so much, Yao Pokumenta, spokesperson for Dr. Yao Acheampong. Let me wrap up with Andy Apiakubi. 30 seconds, your final words. We have, unfortunately, I don't have connection to Andy Apiakubi. Kwesi Kwarteng, is he on? Okay, 30 minutes, your final words, please.
Oh, Andy Apiakubi is my uncle, so my regards to him.
Okay.
But most importantly, like the point I earlier made, Bryan Acheampong will not make any premature concessions in 2028. He will protect the sanctity and integrity of the votes that Ghanaians have casted. The Constitution enjoins us to do that. And at no point will he leave the fate of our PCs just to the fate of, some NDC people who may be emboldened by such premature early concessions to then enter the coalition centers and start taking things into their own hands. This is what Bryan Acheampong will not do. I think emphasis has to be made on that point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kwesi Kwarteng. We made attempts to reach out to Dr. Bawumia's camp. were unsuccessful with that. In subsequent bulletins, we'll try again. Well, still on politics, the Deputy General Secretary of the ruling NDC, Mustapha Gbande, is urging party members to remain patient as government works to address growing concerns over jobs, contracts and welfare. The NDC, which won the 2024 elections by landslide victory, is under pressure from supporters demanding swift action on campaign promises ranging from job placements and contracts to accountability of former government officials accused of mismanaging state funds. Now, barely 10 months into its first administration, the Mahama-led administration is facing rising expectations from both party loyalists and the public. In a statement, the Deputy General Secretary for the party, Mustapha Gbande, acknowledged these concerns as legitimate but appealed for restraint and faith in the government's ongoing efforts. Well, he joins us live here on The Pulse. Mr. Gbande, we appreciate your time. So you promised the boys jobs and you're failing in that promise. Is that the case?
Well, thank you very much and good afternoon to our listeners. I think that basically it is not a strange situation with new government. We believe that the NDC have inherited all of Ghana's problems, including what we have, and that is to put food on the table, if possible, of every single Ghanaian. Job creation is a priority of every government. But like we have known, a new government like ours, who have come to meet the mess created by the people, our party people believe that, one, they have the patience to wait for government to turn things around. Because basically, if you don't cook, you don't eat. And within 9 months, if government is even working with the highest level of speed, much have not been done to be able to give everybody the opportunity they expect. But what is actually the problem is the fact that we still have some elements of the MPP who have been behind these agenda that fleeced our nation. Public servants who have actually been part of the corruption, people who have aided and abetted with politicians to steal our resources, are still within government entities working. And the party people are concerned. Because if you have Acheampong saying that NDC people are in power, but they will still control us, then it is right for a foot soldier who is not yet employed to believe that his party or his government is not being fair to him. We are not saying that sack every single Ghanaian that is at work. They say that their government is in power. We believe that something went wrong in the last 8 years of President Akufo-Addo, including a deliberate step to fleece and to steal from this country.
Allegations we cannot prove.
That sentiment could not have been achieved by only one minister. It takes a chief director, it takes directors, it takes public servants to have done that. And if government want to reset, we can reset roads and hospitals. But if you haven't reset the human resource that have given room for the fleecing to occur, then our party people feel that they have a case with appointees. And
but
that is what basically
basis do they make this allegation, really? Because the concern is that everyone in public service must have been required to meet the different requirements for that job. But now you want to let them go because simply you want to give the boys job. Is that the case?
No, but these are people. So if you go to a Ministry of Roads, okay, for example, where a contractor was given $30 million of Ghanaians' money to construct road and it has not been done. The public servants who have paid this money, what is their business being there? If you go to Cocoa Board, where there were a lot of corrupt practices, including procurement breaches, and the directors of Cocoa Board, who are politically exposed, are still sitting there, what do you want the NDC people to think? If you go to the Ministry of Education, where we are doing school placement, and the people there are still MPP people who are not towing government agenda to ensure that the placement is done in accordance with what the Ghanaian people want. You expect an NDC food soldier to fold his hand and sit down and allow these MPP people again be in power whilst we claim that we are in charge. No, they will not agree. But all we sought to tell them was that as leadership, I stand for a cleanup, a total cleanup. If you are MPP and you are enjoying and you are politically exposed, you don't have business being in this government.
But are they not Ghanaians? Irrespective of their political colors, are they not Ghanaians?
The NDC people, are they from Togo? When President Akufo-Addo was in power and they were sacking all the NDC people, no, did we look for amnesty to look for jobs elsewhere for them? They were jobless for years. There are people who have been punished by the MPP government simply because their government was in power. And our party people also believe that if that is the case, then it is their turn to also get the jobs. And I think they are right.
But then you agree with me that governance is not about rewarding loyalty. It's actually about building the nation.
Governance, building a nation, you have a group of people who have come together to fleece your nation, steal everything, and you think that they should still be there. Directors who have gone in bed with politicians to steal money, and you think they should be there. Are you not one of the people who feel that the 8 years regime, there have been some financial malfeasance politically, and that you want those people to be there?
But until that is proven, they have the rights to work for the nation, don't they?
The NDC people also have the right to work for the nation. It's about ideology. Our ideology is not the same as the ideology of the MPP when it comes to nation building. We have different principles. Since the NDC came to power, we have not destroyed people's businesses. When President Akufo-Addo was there, they were collapsing businesses and giving to their cronies. That is their ideology. Since the NDC came to power, you've seen an increase in some sort of social intervention policy strengthening, including free SHS and school feeding program. So if you don't believe in the ideology of the government, you don't have business being part of the nation building because you will be a standing block. So the party people are right, but all we are saying as leadership is for them to be patient, manage their expectations. This is a new government. We have to build the nation together. One would have to understand that there are most appointees who have not gotten release of funds from the Ministry of Finance because we as a nation are undergoing an economic recovery program, homegrown by a young man, Kessler Tuforsen. We believe that it is helping the nation to recover very fast. And so we have to be patient to tolerate for appointees to go through the system so that we'll find jobs for our people, including the grassroots of the MPP, who they abandoned in the last 8 years. The teachers who are demonstrating, MPP gave them appointment letters, but never paid them. The nurses who are demonstrating, MPP gave them appointment letters, but never employed them. All of these people have become a burden on our government to deal with. Yes, we will deal with that, but we'll bring our party people along. All we are asking for is patience. People must understand that building a nation sometimes is not only about giving jobs. It also has to do with some level of tolerance, some level of patience and management of expectation. And I believe that the foremost objective of President Mahama is to give job security to the people of this country. It is never intended that the party will be in power so that our people will not get jobs. It's early days yet. But I also believe and stand with my party people that all the directors of MPP who are in public service must be sacked. They must go home because they were part of the nation-wrecking agenda.
Mustafa Gwande, we appreciate your time here on The Pulse. He's Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. You're still watching The Pulse. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay with us.